Defying police warnings, protesters on Monday took to the streets of Lagos to demonstrate against cybercrime and the perceived threats of emergency rule in River State. The protest, organized by the Take It Back movement, saw participants gather under the popular Ikeja Bridge, from where they proceeded towards the Lagos State Government House and the State House of Assembly in Alausa to voice their concerns. Despite the presence of tight security around the area, the demonstration remained peaceful. This action comes just a day after the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, urged organizers to cancel the planned nationwide protest scheduled for April 7, 2025. In a statement released on Sunday by the police spokesperson, Muyiwa Adejobi, the protest was described as ill-timed, particularly because it coincided with the newly designated National Police Day. In line with global best practices in celebrating police institutions, the Nigerian government has declared April 7 as National Police Day, the statement reads. We're not going to differ from whatever the truth may be, and sometimes they say when you see black you call it black, and when it's white you call it black. Truly, yeah, the president has come to declare April 7 Police Day, but I do not think if there's any reason for it to interfere with whatever protest the Take It Back movement had. You know, before now, last week, they actually declared their interest to come out in April 7 to protest against cybercrime act, the emergency rule, and there was another reason they listed the reason why they're out for this protest in Nigeria. In Lagos State, Abuja were inclusive, and Ibadan and some parts of Port Harcourt were also inclusive in the protest. I want to get your thoughts on this, because these are reasons. It's more like a humanity reason why these protests were actually, put into place. I really want to get your thoughts on what you make of this, please, Mr. Dandy.
Okay. First, to protest, peaceful protest, the rights of Nigerian citizens is also enshrined in the Constitution for a peaceful protest. But in a situation where the police have said, from what they say it's ill-timed. And why is it ill-timed? They said because we also have fixed a program for same day. And that's if I'm right, if I want to quote the police rightly, they said the program, I think that's a program that they held at Ego Square. That was yesterday. Then I followed up some of the protesters, especially the one in Abuja and then that of Port Harcourt. Then the one, if you're holding a program at the Ego Square in Abuja, how does that affect the protests in Port Harcourt? And then how does that affect the protests in Lagos, Ibadan and all that? So that's obviously not too clear, but something must be tagged to stop the protest or whatsoever. First, the protesters, are they within their rights? Yes, if it's peaceful. So, but what we really do not, I personally do not buy into, is a situation where the protest turns violent and all that. But if they are on peaceful protest, I do not see why anybody should stop anybody, because you have a police program. Now, if you have a police program in Abuja, the program didn't even extend beyond Abuja. If you want to stop those in Abuja, you also should not stop those in Port Harcourt and those at Lagos. But I followed it where, is this Showere or something like that? That Showere was leading the one at Abuja. So when they got to a place where the police, I think close to Ego Square, said they were there for their own business, and then they were heading towards National Assembly. Yeah. So the police stopped them. At the time, they now started singing and said, police, if Nigeria don't tire you, go to Sambisa and all that. So he now, at that point, they stopped them. And then he had to address the people and said, please, the essence of this protest is because even you, the police, you are not well paid.
Yes, we're actually, fighting for you.
Good. And then if the what's it called, emergency rule in River State is the issue where you can suspend a sitting governor, it means it's a threat to democracy, a big threat to democracy, in the sense that it means any president can just wake up and suspend a governor, a sitting governor, elected the way you were elected, no matter the hierarchy. So I think it's a trend we shouldn't allow in Nigeria. Yes, any governor that disagrees with the president, it means the president will remove such person. So what's the essence of coming out to vote on election day? People gathered, you didn't consult the people, so one person would just sit somewhere that was elected and then say, please, we are taking you off the seat. Within their rights, it does not call for any action if it does not lead to violence. I also saw the one in Port Harcourt. I also think that they should have allowed the protesters protest peacefully if it's peaceful and all that. So that's my take on that.
Okay, are you actually aware that at some point the police tear gassed most of the protesters, I think in Lagos State, because the protest was actually a peaceful one at some point, and we'll oftentimes see situations that always end up like that. If it's not tear gas, if the protesters are not tear gassed, it ends up into a brutal situation where gunfires are released into the air or to the protesters. Let's go back to democracy, like you mentioned. Have we lost it at some point in line since the June 12, 1993 election? You know, that has been certain criticism that we've seen, that since then there has been more or less or no democracy that has been practiced in the country. And then let's take it from there, because I also wanted to a little bit slide into the emergency rule in River State that occurred and how people perceived it and how it wasn't supposed to be. But let's actually deal on the consistent tear gassing of protesters in the country. Why is that so, especially if it's a peaceful protest?
You know, democracy allows freedom of expression. In fact, that's even the essence of democracy. Say your mind. And what is it you don't like? Let your leaders tell them what you don't like, tell them what you want. And that's democracy.
Yes.
Now, in a case where you don't even want people to express themselves, either by letter or not, the option is protest. So that's why it's even enshrined in the Constitution. And then I followed, especially the ones in Port Harcourt. I followed that protest. I was on social media, good of it now. I was on social media then and saying, I got that notification, live notification. So why, both even from most of the media houses and all that, at the time they were even looking for that of the channels and so many other persons. I think I also saw your station there. And then, from the video, you could see a policeman, there was this particular policeman that was shooting direct, though it was tear gas. Okay. So you could also see a situation where some tear gas were dropped, people were just running for their lives and all that. That incident happened, but that's not my take. Because the protesters were like, they want to kill us because we're protesting, we did nothing. And I even heard the man who led that protest saying that they took permission, the police said they were going to protect them. Then they moved from Izeboro Park. Then by the time they got to CFC roundabout, then they saw a team of police comprising the military, the police, the NC, DC, and all that. So they came after them and said they had to stop. And at the time, they now started shooting, released tear gas, and I was hearing gunshots from the video on social media. Now, why could that happen? The point here is, at the end of that, police came up with a statement and said, the video, the stories circulating on social media are not correct.
And you saw it, you were on live when the incident happened.
I'm telling you, I watched the video, I followed the video, I was just on social media. So, in fact, the police said they were not correct. The reason is simple, that they got a tip. I'm quoting the police, and they got a tip of some miscreants, protesters around that Aba Road. And then at the time, they observed that when they got there, they didn't see protesters. What they saw were miscreants stealing people's phones, thieves. That was what stealing people's phones, collecting people's phones and laptop and all that. So their men had to be professional and then acted the way they acted. And then you could see that story. Imagine somebody had died. And then you just said you turn the story in that way and all that. The truth is, the police will want to give, there is this adage where they say you want to kill something, you give it a name. They gave it a name.
And then that's how they were able to stop the protest. And also remember, that of the Eagle Square had also come out to say, the police at the National have also come out to say, we're having program today, please don't go on. So it means these are just way to bring down, to weaken the issue of protest. What were they protesting for? Nobody is even talking about it. What were they asking of? Stop the emergency rule in Rivers State in a democratic setting. The government in power will come out to address the people and say, well, the way you're seeing it is not the way it should go. It's not the way it is. This is the reason. This way our purpose, our whatever that led us to this is because of this and this and that. But in this case, you must stop the protest. Over what? Nobody is addressing the issue. Nobody is saying anything and all that. Democracy should not be threatened in a country we all labored to see us into democratic system of governance. Except you want to take us back to military rule where you're not allowed to express yourself. And if we get back to military rule, I don't know. We'll now begin to pray again for democracy. Even the person who is in the president, the IG. Okay, I heard even the Sowore himself saying you can't stop us by the order of the IG because the IG there is illegal. That's what he said. I'm quoting Sowore now. He said the IG is illegal because his tenure has expired. He has also retired. And I don't know how they did that twist and say he's going to stay for another 5 years after his tenure has expired. So you can see the whole democracy we are into. You can see what's happening. You can see the scenario, and then you ask yourself, are we in democracy, or we are after pleasing one person or the other? Is a threat to our unity, is a threat to uniting all the states, is a threat to uniting government and then the people. So I think that ought not to be.
Thank you so much on that, Mr. Dandy. Okay, I said we're going to come back to the emergency rule in Rivers State. Let's look back to the northern states now and the issue of insecurity that has been going on. See, Plateau, it's just been here and there. Borno, it's coming back again on Borno State, the whole insurgency going on. And the question sometimes will be, why has no state of emergency be given to those states on insecurity? Rather, it's had to fall back to Rivers State over whatever reasons that were being made. And there were also criticism that the president did not follow the 1999 constitution of the 306 Nigerian Act as amended, in order to follow due process of handling the whole emergency rule situation. And if we have to recall, before this whole emergency rule, he did a national broadcast by 7 p.m. where he declared the emergency rule, and the next day, that was when the National Assembly actually decided to say, yes, we give our consent over the emergency rule. I thought it's supposed to be the other way around, where the National Assembly will have to, make a statement before the president decides to take the emergency. It was just not like, when you have an altercation with someone and you feel everything has died off, and the next morning you see a knock on your door and you see men in uniform, coming to threaten your peace and say, you're under arrest, when you feel like everything has just been sorted out. It's just something that just happened into the broad daylight to Nigerians at the time. Because if, like you stated, if you look at this, it's constitutionally not proving that the president is supposed to remove a sitting governor under due circumstances that did not, push into violence. Am I making sense here?
Well.
Yes, that did not create violence, was not created for that situation to happen. It has just been that question: does the president have the constitutional right? Because in as much as the case may be, they will still bring out the constitution and say, under this constitution, this is why this was taken. So let's follow that. Under the constitution, was it actually taken rightly by the president to declare emergency rule in Rivers State?
Let's assume that constitutionally is there. Let's assume that constitution is there. Then it means there is a mistake or there is an error in that particular section of the constitution. which requires an amendment. We've seen amendment of the constitution in several cases. Let's assume it's there. But in this case, the NBA have come up, because I'm not a lawyer, the NBA have come up to say it is not there. Several quarters, lawyers have come up to say it is not there. And they're even saying the Attorney General made a mistake. Then, from my own point of view, it is also very wrong. I'm against whatever it is for a president, be it this president or a president to come to suspend a sitting governor. You know, it happened during the era of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, in those cases where Ngige was kidnapped. This, let's not target name. Okay, the difference between that and this is because we are seeing the governor. True. And then in that case, we weren't seeing the governor, but we were hearing from the governor because Ngige was somewhere shouting that he has been kidnapped. Probably the foreign governor would have even screamed that he is being kidnapped. But what's the difference between being kidnapped and then being suspended? This is even more dangerous. To a democratic setting, you're suspending the governor. There are other states that have had issues. Let's say this has to do with political brouhaha, political misunderstanding, and then you're suspending the governor. You're suspending the legislative arm. That ordinarily Nigerians are saying those are the persons causing the problem. Because you're no longer asking your constituents what do they want. What do you want the government to do for you?
You know, so I'm sure it's quite issue. The question would be, he's not the only one that was suspended. His deputy was also suspended, inclusive of the House of Assembly members. You know, but the question now is, what is the constitution? I'm trying to make this direct because the question will be, he is not the only one that was suspended. Yes, but we have to make it clear there that, what, like you stated, what is the constitutional right for the president to actually suspend the
That's why I say whatever is the constitutional right is wrong. That aspect of the constitution should be amended. But quoting from all we've heard from lawyers, including Nigerian Bar Association, have come up to say it is wrong. It wasn't even there in the constitution. The president have the right to declare a state of emergency. The same right he has not used in Kaduna. The same right we have not seen in Ondo, Osun, and or even Edo states. The same right we've not seen in states that are being threatened. Killings are going on. Nobody is helping the people. People are helpless. That right has not been applied in such states. And for political reason, the right did not even take a month to be applied in Rivers State. And then this has to be, you know, I'm trying to picture a scenario where, is it that the right of the entire indigents of the states or the voters of the state are being trampled upon? In the sense that you brought somebody else, this is a situation where either you like it or not, let this person take charge of your resources. Since then, what's the new project? Since then, where has he done any let's say town hall meeting to communicate with the people? Good, there's a political disagreement. How does that affect the masses?
Because that should be the question there.
Good. What's the interest of the masses? What are you even fighting the governor for? I've always asked this question. If you want to fight the governor that the governor is not paying workers, good. You want to fight the governor is not promoting workers, good. You want to fight the government that the governor is not providing roads, infrastructures, the schools, the education sector is there, different sectors are there. We will clap for you. But what are you fighting? Structure. Political structure. It means that we have lost it. Democracy is being threatened, and then the people are no longer important.
And that's why the people had to come out to protest over it, because we still have to get the area of concentration.
The people are even too cool. They are cold, so cold in the whole of this situation. Nobody is talking, nobody is protesting, everybody is minding their business. Why will they not mind their business? You've not seen food to eat. It means that the government is even doing this. It looks like it's deliberate. Put the people in abject poverty. Let the people not see money. Let the people not even see employment. Let the people not see good economy. Let inflation deal with them, so that when we act, nobody will be, we have the strength enough to come up and fight. That's why even the protests, you see few persons coming out to protest.
Yes.
So there is a problem in this country. Democracy is being threatened. I am totally against whatever thing that led to the suspension of a sitting governor. It means that any other governor can be suspended. Please, let's take democracy to areas where insecurity is ravaging the people. Farmers cannot go to farm. Electricity is destroying us. Nobody is declaring emergency in the sector, in that power sector. Nobody is declaring emergency in education sector. Health sector is nothing to write home about. Nobody is declaring emergency. All we're declaring emergency is political structure. Can you see how it sounds? This is just bad. This is sad, and this is ugly for any ear to even hear it.
Oh, thank you so much on your thoughts. I really appreciate that, Mr. Dandy. It was a good analysis, and we just hope that we come out of that space where a peaceful protest would be allowed. Look back to the United States. The Americans marched out in Washington against the whole Trump tariff, and I'm not sure we had any case of policemen, military men opening fire on anyone. Did you hear, please?
I didn't hear.
Okay, thank you so much on that. In as much as the whole country has turned out to be, I think we still practice the constitution of the freedom of speech. Everyone has the freedom of speech and freedom of movement and freedom of expression. So we, to an extent, it should be allowed. And in accordance to the police day that was supposed to be celebrated, if they actually did celebrate it yesterday, April 7, that should have just marked a point. It should have been a tiptoe where the police would have said, okay, we're trying to make a reform in this institution. We should take a step back and allow the peaceful protesters say their minds and do what is needful, because we're all in this game together.